Because in some people's mind, that means, well, you're going to have to Xerox or photocopy your ID to send it in to prove you are who you are.
Daggone copying device. I just can't seem to figure it out.
A whole lot of people, especially people who live in rural communities.
She said rural people.
She said rural, but we all know what she really meant.
Kinko's, there's no Office Max near them.
All right, come on, let's go film.
Daggone copying device.
Be clear about who you have in mind and what would be required of them to prove who they are.
Nation is going on here. Y'all come on in now. Let's get ready for another episode of the colored fella and Brian.
Of course, people have to prove who they are, but not in a way that makes it almost impossible for them to prove who they are.
Good morning, world.
Good morning, world.
All right, we know you're from LA. You can drop the accent.
I'm rural.
She said rural, but we did know what she meant, right?
She meant urban. That's what she really meant.
She got her rural and urban mixed up.
One of the urban ones.
I think because they played the urban card so many times, they had to flip the script, you know? Maybe they thought they could pick up some rural voters.
Oh, my goodness.
Anyway.
We're going to do this quick. We're going to talk about what's going on in Cuba, ladies and gentlemen.
Libertad. Is that right?
Yeah, freedom.
All right.
Stay tuned. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today's topic, we're going to talk about we'll call it the insurrection that's going on in Cuba. They have their own little January 6th going on there. But in reality, very similar to what's going on here, these are just people over there who are fighting for their rights and holding anti-government protests.
Yeah, but unlike here, they're actually fighting against a regime that you don't have free speech rights. So they, unlike the protesters here that are protected, these people get arrested for just speaking their mind.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. And the funny thing that I noticed is, like, it's been going on for a few days now. By the time we release this on Thursday, haven't heard anything from Miss AOC.
Damn.
Wonder where she's been.
I think she's still hiding in the under her desk.
Right.
She got triggered.
Brian and I got a lot of hate. If you, we've brought this up a few times before. We did a video on Mike Tyson and his tattoos that he was wearing. And very similar to what the tattoos he was wearing with Che Guevara. A lot of things are going on in Cuba that just aren't right. These poor people have gone through 6 decades of just being treated poorly, and they're getting tired of it, and they want a country like ours, believe it or not. And like you guys have heard us say over and over again, that's why we literally have thousands of people who are flooding our borders every single day. Now think about the logic of that. Why are they trying to come to a country that's racist and doesn't offer them freedom? They're not. They're coming over here because they want to be here and they want to get away from Cuba, which is sad because if you think about Cuba, it's only 90 miles away from Florida.
But the reason that their uprising's happening again, because it happened back in the 90s, is because, and they're trying to say it's just COVID, but these people have been fighting for freedom for a long time. But now they have a scarcity of food and medicine.
Food and medicine.
And speaking of food,
what would we do if we didn't have food?
I know. Have you worried about that? Have you worried maybe our food supply chain might get cut off?
I haven't thought about it, but maybe I should start.
It's something that we should think about because of all of the stuff going on in our country as well as Cuba.
Yep.
Would you be ready if the food supply chain was cut off from here? Probably not.
That's why we urge you to get some long-term storage emergency food from our friends at Patriot Supply. They're the original Patriot survival company. Over the past decade, they've served millions of American families just like yours. Their mission is your survival. And right now, you can save 25% on a 4-week kit of emergency food that will save the day, probably soon. This 4-week kit has a wide variety of delicious food that provides over 2,000 calories per day, the right amount for optimum survival. So go to preparewithcedricandbrian.com so you can claim your 4-week emergency food kit and save 25% in the process. Order a tasty starter kit for each member of your family, and they'll ship everything quickly and discreetly to your door. Once again, that's preparewithcedricandbrian.com.
That's www.preparewithcedricandbrian.com. You can get this. Oh, I had the back there. You should have told me that. Here's some cheesy broccoli and rice soup.
Ooh.
Here's some traveler stew, So this right here has 4 servings in it alone. And you get these 2 big buckets. So this is one right here, and you get 2 of them. And they have a real long shelf life, 25-year shelf life.
Wow.
So it's not something you're going to go grab and just eat right off. This is for emergencies because it lasts 25 years. Probably longer than we're going to be alive now, right? Because we're old.
I'm going to be around in 25 more years.
So and we work out.
I'm going to answer the unasked question. No, Brian and I did not cook that meal together because we are not together. Yeah, he cooked that meal with his wife.
That doth protest.
I get that question a lot. Like, wait, you guys aren't... what? No, we're not. It's just, yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
All right, let's get back to Cuba.
Okay, Cuba. I want to go with what some of our leaders are saying here because they're just putting a terrible spin on what's going on there. And all these people want is what you and I want over here. They want freedom. They want liberty. They want to be out and speak peacefully and put their grievances out.
Well, heck, they want to be able to just eat. They want to be able to eat and move around their city or the country. I mean, it's an island nation. And it's been an island nation with tyrannical rule since the 50s. And Hollywood likes to put this rosy picture of it, of, the people are living in these cool 1950s cars. They only show the cameras on the stuff they want you to see. Yeah. There's a reason why people would stick family members in life rafts to go 90 miles. And 90 miles is a long way. We live near Catalina Island, which is only 20 miles. They go 90 miles basically floating on buoys or anything they can find that'll blow up, right, and hope that the current will bring them to our shores. Yeah. I mean, if you're in a country where you think it's all great, because AOC and Bernie say they got great health care over there, why would you risk your life and your family's life and your children's life to drift across 90 miles of sea over days? Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So
and we didn't mean to culture appropriate, but a few years ago, Brian and I and a couple of friends, we went to a local brewery where we do a Havana Nights. Yeah, it's fun. So we got to roll cigars and make our own cigars, and we dressed up and
we actually meet people that are Cuban, who are freedom-loving people. It's funny that if you go to Miami, it's the Cubans that were so much of the Trump supporters because they know what it's like to live in that kind of environment. So.
Exactly. So let's play this soundbite really quick.
All right.
Expressing support for the Cuban protesters, and a member of the U.S. State Department tweeting, "We stand by the Cuban people's right for peaceful assembly. We call for calm and condemn any violence."
Okay, let's stop that real quick. This is from Julie Chen, and I don't know what her exact position is here.
She's part of the government. She's part of the swamp.
But she says, "We stand for the Cuban people's right for peaceful assembly." They don't have the right to peaceful assembly. What they're doing, they can be killed for. So the fact that we take it for granted that we can have an insurrection on the Capitol of January 6th, or that we can run through Philadelphia and New York and Chicago during the summer of 2020 without fear of being killed, they don't have that right. So the fact that they're doing that speaks volumes.
Yeah, and they're not causing violence. You'll see in some of the videos going on back here, they did get a little violent. They turned over some police cars.
Right.
But you got to remember, the police in Cuba are work directly with the government, and the government tells them, hey, don't let these people speak about freedom or Libertad that they talk about.
Yeah, and that's another thing. We'll have to find that clip later, but they're yelling, Libertad, Libertad. And then the reporter says, oh, see, there's a concern about COVID. COVID and freedom are two completely different things. COVID, and the COVID thing really affected them because just like us, they were shut down drastically, which really hurt their tourism and other money-making ways that they made money. It really killed their industry. And then she goes on to say here, we call for calm and condemn any violence. Where was that call during the summer of 2020?
I know. It's easy for our State Department to talk about other countries. And then we talked about this, though. The United States has failed Cuba for 50 years. Over 50 years.
Yeah.
You either be like the separatists that say, we don't want anything involved with that, and we're just going to ignore it, or you go all in. But we've been doing these things, and we do this as the United States to other countries too. We do these sanctions and stuff like that, but guess who it hurts? It doesn't hurt the rich government people at the top of these countries. It hurts the average people. So we failed. I mean, if you're going to say anything about our foreign policy, That's where we fail these other countries, because we don't commit. Because
Well, that's
we
the
have
question
so-
I wanted to ask you. What responsibility do we have as Americans, if we have any at all?
Depends what you feel we as Americans should do. If we feel we do have the best system, you go all in and you say, we're going to liberate these people and we're going to try to topple those regimes. And I know we get, especially the Che Guevara and the Mao, they come back at us all the time and say, well, that's what the United States does. They topple other regimes. Well, we didn't topple Castro.
No.
And instead, we had people dying trying to get to our border. So we need to make. And I'm not going to say I know the right decision. I mean, we're just a couple of, like we always say, we're just a couple of regular guys. You know, a chiropractor and a teacher.
Right.
We don't work for the government. You know, we're not that smart.
We're rural.
We're rural people. But obviously, what we're doing in a lot of these places around the world, and Cuba is only 90 miles off of our border, and we have the Bahamas on one side, and we have Florida right here, and we vacation when we take cruises to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
We circle Cuba. It's right. It's our neighbor,
Yeah.
and we failed these people. What's the right answer? I don't know. If you're a libertarian, strict libertarian, you say, yeah, that's their deal. We're not going to get involved. But then again, then it's on your conscience. If there's something that we could do to help the people there, I don't know the answer. Do you know the answer?
Me personally, my gut says if we're going to be the good neighbor that we are, because people look to us, well, I don't know about now, but there was a long time ago, where people used to look to the United States of America as the big brother, someone who could help, someone who's powerful. And I think that we need to hold true to that and lend a hand when we can lend a hand.
Otherwise, people are going to stop being our allies, because they're going to say, they don't really mean it. And we're not going to do this today, but the Biden administration, following the Trump administration, it's both that are wrong. They're going to pull out of Afghanistan, and we know that the Taliban is just going to take back over. But what's the right decision? Yeah. I don't know. It's hard in other parts of the country. It's hard enough for us, obviously, to be in agreement in our own country. Obviously, we saw that over the last 5-6 years, ever since the Kaepernick kneeling. I mean, we're a nation divided. So maybe we should stay out of those countries because we can't even decide what we want to do for ourselves. But, you know, you got to live with those consequences.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. And I feel for, and like I said, I know people that are from Cuba and family is from Cuba. And they get scared when they see all of the AOCs and the Bernies here wanting socialism and communism light, because they've lived it. And me and Cedric talked about this. It would be a funny thing. So we see these people over there, and if you've been watching the screen behind me, there's some American flags in Cuba with these protesters. I would happily, and I know we can't do this, but if we want to talk about utopia, because the left always wants to talk about utopia, we got to be perfect. Is I'd love to take these people burning our flag and just trade them. Say, hey, we'll trade with you, and you can go live in your communist socialist paradise. Because I know those people here, we'll do a 1-to-1 trade.
We'll give you Chelsea Wolfe, Gwen Berry,
volunteer,
and all the other Olympians who don't want to be here.
Yes, please volunteer. Because I know that they would volunteer, and maybe we can work it out with the State Department to say, hey, look, we're not even increasing our population here. We're going to do
one-for-one
a trade.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great.
I know. We could start with the universities.
Oh my goodness. Well, today was a very short video, but we wanted to touch on this because it's relevant and it's burning up the news right now. But we need to get into a comment.
Oh yeah, we haven't done a comment in a while.
All right, we have a comment from our most recent review of Tom MacDonald's song,
Don't Look Down.
Great song. If you guys haven't seen it, go back and watch that. We just got this one today from a gentleman by the name of Sean Potter, a distant cousin to Harry.
What's up, Sean? I don't
says
think he's related to Harry.
He's Harry. Yeah. And this is one where we get to pat ourselves on the back. But Sean says, "You guys are great. New sub after this. I like to see truly wholesome individuals in this day and age. I can tell you are two great people. Breath of fresh air. Love the home of the brave shirt. Take care." Sean, we appreciate that. We appreciate that. And people who will also see that will have the exact opposite reaction of Sean and say that they
He's
hate
a
us.
sellout, and I'm a cracker.
Yeah, but we don't get it. Like I said before, whether you're African American, Hispanic American, Asian American, we're all Americans, and someone like Sean gets it. So Sean, we appreciate that, my friend.
I don't know about the wholesome part, but thanks.
We do our best. When the camera's rolling, we do our best. Are we done for the day?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. If you guys didn't forget, make sure you get our hats here. I got mine on today. Go right here. Put in the code CMB10. You get 10% off and get one of these fine crafted Cedric and Brian hats for the upcoming summer months. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell. And share our videos with everyone you know. And in the meantime, please continue being good to each other. Until next time, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. We'll see you later.